Kids coming out of college are going to have one of the toughest. Some of them are going to have a very tough time with certain places. Now, I'm not saying nobody's going to get jobs. Lots of college kids are going to graduate, get jobs. There's a great opportunity. But there's a big hurdle in the way that has never been there before, and that's 30-year-olds to 80-year-olds who own businesses. I can tell you firsthand, as somebody involved in some recruitment over the years, and especially the last 5 years, that one of the biggest obstacles is, oh man, I hope it's not a kid out of college, or I hope it's not anybody under 30. I literally had someone, and I think it might even be illegal or something to say this, but they actually said to me, how old are you again, or whatever? They're like, well, I'm trying to stay away from anybody under 30. And that's because of the crazy, woke, nutso type of BS and whiny, and I'm going to sue, or my feelings and stuff like that, and they're just terrible workers. So those people, and you could argue about, someday that mindset is going to kind of take over probably into the whole entire workforce. It'll just become what everybody expects. But right now, people that own companies, people that own businesses, people that run things, they expect a certain work ethic. And from people under 30, they're getting a much different work ethic than people over 30. So they are very aware of this, hyper aware to it. So they are more eager to potentially hire somebody who's like 28 or 35 or 45, as opposed to somebody who's 23, 24, 25, or even younger, whatever it is. And so that's just something to keep in mind. But listen to this. And, it was on the Dave Rubin show today. And even Dave Rubin himself, who's a 49-year-old man, even he sort of expresses his bias as he, how he feels about college students. But you may say, like, oh, I don't like Dave Rubin, he's a right-leaning guy and whatever else, and you don't like his content or whatever. That's fine. If you don't like him, you love him, you hate him, whatever it is. But the bottom line is this. A lot of companies, a lot of people hiring feel this same way. Boo-hoo. That's how they feel. And so that's just a fact. So you may not get a job somewhere because of these reasons. And now, but maybe not, because maybe some of the college kids are starting to wake up. So listen to this.
At graduation, and she's mourning the absence of Mohammed Khalil and some stuff, but some of the audience is not with her, which makes you think that maybe some kids in college actually have brains. I'll be damned.
And let me also say that we firmly believe that our international students have the same rights to freedom of speech as everyone else, and they should not be targeted by the government for exercising that right.
No, you're getting booed.
And let me also say that I know many in our community today are mourning the absence of our graduate, Mahmoud Khalil. The United States in uniform, thank you.
Good morning.
Sounds like she mostly received boos.
Class of 2025. I know that many of you feel some.
I have to say, we have a running.
So that's kind of funny. So anyway, I'm not saying I necessarily agree with everything, but I will about college students. But that's a decent sign that a lot of the college kids are like, F that. I definitely, I don't know all of some of these instances of some of the people that have been kicked out of the country. Some of them I think have been kicked out unfairly. Some of them have been maybe kicked out without what I believe they deserve some kind of more investigation. Some of them are definitely deserving to be kicked out, and, tough luck. If you do that in another country, if an American goes to another country and then does those things there, you will be kicked out. You might even be arrested, like, and detained in jail or something. So, it's you could argue about what we really believe here. I think there should be some kind of a reset argument about what we think the rights of, people that are here are. I think we should probably, because there's such, discourse about it, we probably should have some sort of a vote about how we feel about that. Like people that are here completely illegally doing nothing here whatsoever, their rights versus, which are probably none, but their rights versus somebody who are here with a student visa who might express themselves. Well, they're trying to be an American, so they're already acting kind of like an American. So can we give them that American grace or no? that could all be argued about later. But what we don't need to argue about is this. If you're a college student right now, it's going to be harder than ever. If you're a college student, it's potentially harder than ever for you to get a job in many different places because there are so many business owners and so many people that just see college students as a liability now and also not good workers. So now I don't think that means like all or nothing like a lot of people means. They think it means, well, you're screwed if you went to college. I don't think it means that. I just think it means there are some avenues that are a little bit different, and you're going to have to work harder in the job interview and things like that. If you're working for a company or you're attempting to work for a company or a business owner, and that business owner isn't clearly like woke and left whatever, and they're more like, they seem like a pretty serious business and a really strong business and a strong person, and they're doing an interview with you. I mean, and you're a college student, you've been polluted and brainwashed by all this bullshit. You want to do your best probably to show them that you have character and to prove that you start things and finish them and that you're not a whiner, that you're not a complainer. Whatever you do, do not bring up your feelings and, emotions and, some of that, any of that stuff. Certainly do not bring up that stuff. I'm telling you right now, it is, there's a few places, that cater to that sort of thing. But honestly, they're few and far between. What I find is that there's every 10 companies that are pretty normal, and they may ask like on your resume thing like pronouns or something, but they really won't ask much more than that or get into anything else, and they really don't want to. They're just sort of like playing a little bit of the game, but not really. But for every 10 places that are like that are pretty much regular, the way we all always experience workplaces and things like that, There's like one place, that's like all about, the feelings and then, our diversity in this company, like it's whatever. So if you can land that sort of place, that sort of job, and that was where you wanted to be, you might be okay. But if you're going anywhere else where it's a regular company, you don't want to bring that there. So I don't care if you're listening to this right now and you're a college student, I don't care what they brainwashed with you in college or what feelings that you were, whatever, don't do it. Don't go there. I'm telling you right now, I work with company owners and recruiters over the past 5 years, especially, and I have never, ever heard the feedback like I hear. I hear so much feedback about, oh my God, people under 30, oh my God, it's a night. They hate you. Like, I'm telling you, bro, they hate these people. They are so angry because they've hired hundreds of people potentially that have all turned out bad in a short period of time, and they are furious, frustrated, confused, and sick and tired of trying to hire people. And I'm telling you right now, they're at the point right now where they've already got experience with this over the last 2 years to 8 years, but especially the last 2 to 5 years, and they're basically just looking for older people. They're like, where are the 30-year-olds? And some of those 30-year-olds might be people that used to be like that themselves, but they finally woke up and they were like, wait, I have to really work, or I have to really be a human. And some of those people, it's just the nature of the years that they were born and how they were raised and whatever. But yeah, I'm telling you right now, they're looking for people that are older. And one of the reasons why I know this too is because when I was job hunting myself, and I would show up places, this was a few years back, but I was like 36 years old. And some people thought I was younger. When I would go to a job interview, some people said like, "Oh, I thought you were like 25. How old are you? Are you 20, 29 or?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm 30, 36." They're like, "Oh, wow. Okay, good. Okay, great. No, that's really good. I thought I was worried you were like 23 or 25 or somebody like, oh my God, I don't want another 20-year-old working right now." And I'm like, whoa, I'm not even sure that's legal to say that. I'm not sure. But they said it. They were pissed. And this is multiple people, and I'm talking about hundreds now after, I did some different job stuff a little while back, and I spoke to so many people, and they were basically saying, like, nobody fresh out of college, nobody, we're looking for someone tenured, right? They can't say, like, we're looking, nobody under 30 years old. They can't really say that. So they say things like, well, we're looking for somebody who has got probably 8 to 10 years experience. And they're like, in the past we used to hire half college out of college and then entry level, but now we're not doing entry level anymore unless, they've got experience or, even if they have some related experience. So it's like, okay, so what you mean is anybody who's older, right? Somebody who's an older person. So it's just really funny that that's what it is. So this is a big heads up video. And I know that I'm babbling and maybe I'm going in circles here, but the bottom line is this. You need to project that you're not one of those people. That you're not, and I don't mean like, tell them like you're like a Trump supporter or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they may not be either, but I'm just saying, but you need to show them that you're like a hard worker or you're not a baby, or you're not going to be a baby. And that can be a little bit tough for some college kids because some college kids are still learning and you are still trying to figure yourself out and what you're going to do. And you're a little bit skittish and stuff coming out of college. But just know that. And know that if you didn't go to college, that they're going to assume you did go to college maybe and that you're still that age. So even if you're 23, 24 years old, you might have been able to get a job at a company in the past without a college degree just by, you being you. But now that'd be even tougher for you because they just think you went to college. So, how do you portray that? And then you just got to really show that you have to have really good communication skills now more than ever, because in the past you might have been a little skittish, but you might have seemed cool and young, and they're like, yeah, we'll mold him. That's all good. You don't really have much experience, but you've got all the credentials from college. You seem like a nice person. Let's hire the person. But now you really don't have, to me, that luxury with most companies. Most companies are looking at you and they're like, oh boy. They're not going to want to work. They're not going to be here at the right times. They're going to cry, whine. They don't know what, gender they are. Let's not do that. So the quieter you are, probably the worse. And I don't mean be loud in a bad way, because you have to be careful not to be a demanding person, either one of those crybaby demanding talkers. You just need to be about, what can I do for the company? I'm looking for somewhere where I can literally, I'd be at the company for life if it worked out. But ideally, somewhere I can be here from longevity and learn, and then I'm a hard worker and I learn fast and I'm coachable, and I enjoy digging into stuff, and this is what I want to get into. I absolutely knew exactly where I wanted to apply for, and this is it, and here I am, and I'm ready to go, and I'm your man, and I've got all the skills, and I'm ready to learn, and I think I will progress ahead of anybody else you would hire in my category. So you just want to present that confidence and great communication skills. And one thing you can always ask the company if they're hiring is say, hey, let me ask you too, just so I can, do the best job possible if I were to get this position, what are the headaches right now in this position? Like, what are the struggles? What are people now not doing as well as they could that you wish they would do? What is something that I can kind of get a head start at being good at to start so that I'm not part of any of the problems that there might be going on right now? And they might tell you, they might be like, well, one of the issues right now is just nobody gets to work on time. Or hey, one of the issues now is that nobody finishes their reports by Wednesday. Or one of the issues now is people have a real problem leaving notes and we're having issues with that. And one of the blah, 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 and they might tell you all these things. And then you can be like, okay, that's great. Leaving notes is not an issue. And in fact, I'm probably got to be careful not to be too detailed when leaving notes, and remembering to leave a notes isn't an issue. So if that's one of the biggest issues, I think, we're going to be good with that. So, okay, awesome. I feel pretty confident about that. You talk like that. I mean, people are going to be like, hell yeah, I want to work with this person. So just, just remember that you are up against it a little bit in the workforce. And everybody's up against it, right? Like everybody's going to experience some prejudice and things like that now. Back in the day, obviously there was maybe some prejudices against, somebody who had a tough time speaking English, Hispanic, Black, Asian maybe. Sometimes some people would have prejudice there, but if you're white now, you're going to experience prejudice as well, because companies don't want to hire straight white people, males especially. So if you're a straight white male, you better really be on your game, because right now you're the ones that people are, they don't want. But also some of the other people don't want because they think they're part of the woke crazy people, and they don't want that. So there are companies that will hire all of you and all these different types of people, but I'm just saying that I've heard from a lot of owners and a lot of people that have money that pay and have companies, and they're important. And this is their biggest headache for a lot of them. And they're not going to tell you that, although some of them did confide in me that when I was interviewing. And that's how bad it is that they're literally so frustrated. They're telling the guy they're going to hire that like, I'm so relieved. Like, I can't tell you how many times it happened to me during job interviews. I had a bunch of job interviews a few years ago. And I actually physically, the guy went, "Oh, thank God. What are you, 35? And I'm like, "I'm 38, or whatever it was." Shake hands. Thank God. I thought you were a 20-year-old, and I was kind of concerned. And it's like, what? I'm like, yeah. It's real bad. They're real bad. And I was like really blown away by that. Hello? All right, I'll see you guys later.